WeakAuras here from Oblivion's Dawn. Just wanted to go over the basics of kind of how to use a hunter and how to optimize your damage output and make sure that you are doing the very best that you can beyond the fight. I'm by no means an expert, but I have done a lot of research and have a lot of time played with this class and know kind of the ins and outs, as well as some tips and tricks for being able to get the most out of your class that you need to. So we're sort of going to go over this, I guess, top to bottom, starting with the more basic things and then working into kind of the more detailed parts of this. If you already know kind of the essentials as far as what your stat priority is, talents, glyphs, etc., you looked up on icy veins, that sort of thing, go ahead and just skip on until the timestamp that was just posted on the screen here, and that way you can get into the more, I guess, nitty-gritty of what's going to make this class perform the best. Alright, so we'll start with the talents. So the talents are actually pretty straightforward. There's a lot of, kind of just best ones to use if you look on icy veins, but we'll just go top to bottom anyways. The first one's pretty situational. I tend to use post haste. Basically, it modifies your disengage to have a certain effect. There are situations where Crouching Tiger, Hidden Chimera does work well to lower your deterrence cooldown. However, the sprint boost you get tends to be more beneficial. Binding Shot also is pretty situational. It's one of the more flexible ones you can use, though, but it's not a true CC like other ones could be. And of course, obviously, Intimidation does require a pet. Ironhawk is going to be your best third tier. Spirit Bond, if you are Beastmaster or something like that, could work well, but in this instance, we are going to be rolling with only Marksman Hunter specific details, so it's not really relevant in this situation. So just roll with Ironhawk. It's the best one you can do. Thrill of the Hunt. So Thrill of the Hunt is also going to be your best. While technically there are advantages to steady focus, from a consistency perspective, you end up getting a bigger benefit over the course of the fight with Thrill of the Hunt, so we roll with that. Stampede is the best choice for that third to the bottom tier. It also gives us kind of a nice big cooldown to use in time with other buffs, which really helps us maximize your damage over the course of a fight. Barrage, again, this is really, you don't really use it as a general rotation. You're really only using it for AoE situations, and you really can't beat it. You just got to learn to control it. One key thing to remember with Marksman is that when your Mastery, which increases your range when it starts up with your Mastery Sniper training, will change your range in the middle of a barrage cast. So you'll need to make sure that you're paying heed to that change, and you're not just suddenly pulling stuff that's 5 yards too far, that kind of thing. Now the last one in the tier is the only one that can sort of change. So I roll with Lone Wolf regardless, right? And while technically speaking, there are some folks that say that if you have your 4 set for tier 18, you're going to want Focusing Shot because it's going to be better focus generation to utilize your instant cast aimed shots. I personally don't like it. I don't like the liability of a pet. I don't like how long it takes for your pet to reach its target, and the versatility you get from being able to be self-sufficient as well as on target with full damage non-stop, as well as being able to provide whatever raid buff you need to, in my eyes, makes Lone Wolf the better choice here. Alright, so pretty basic. Glyphs, however, there are, again, it's not going to affect a whole lot, but there are just sort of some standard ones I use. I use Disengage, Glyph of Disengage. This one just increases how far back you go. It's useful because a lot of hunters use Disengage, the whole jump up in the air, turn around backwards, and disengage backwards to kind of increase how fast they move, or how fast they can get somewhere, and that combined with that post-haste first-tier talent means you can get quite a lot of distance and that speed boost. And then the Chimera Shot one is just gives you a little bit of health back. Other than that, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference between them, so, entirely up to you. There are some that can be useful in certain situations for like increasing the area of effect for your frost traps or ice traps and how fast you move over them, those types of things, but it's very situational in those circumstances. Alright, so that pretty much covers it for talents. So the next thing we really want to go over would be your stat priority. So, fortunately, Marksman has a pretty simple stat priority and is kind of what you'd expect. It's crit and then multi-strike. Crit pretty much has kind of a soft cap of 50%, and this is due to one of the important abilities you have, just passives, being Careful Aim, meaning that you get a nice large bonus to your critical strike as long as you are as long as the target is over 80% health. So theoretically speaking, if you have 50% crit and you start a fight, you have 100% crit for the first 20% of that fight. So that's sort of your soft cap of where it's the most effective. It's not the worst thing in the world to go over it. However, you don't want to go far over it, because once you hit 50%, multi-strike does become a better stat. After that, your next best one's going to be Mastery as Marksman. However, Mastery does rely on a few things, and we'll talk about that later on, being effective with your usage of Mastery, and only a couple of the components are even helpful, and it gets into a whole thing. But Mastery would be your next best one. But try to do crit multi wherever possible. Alright, so pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and go over a bit about what Mastery is, to get a little more detail of that before we move on. So Mastery is your sniper training buff. And what does sniper training do? Well, based on your Mastery, it increases the damage you deal, it increases the critical strike damage you deal, as well as the range of your shots. The shot range is not terribly relevant. This is part of what makes Mastery not such a great stat, and part of what makes the Archimon trinket, which I unfortunately have, not a great trinket, because most strategies you'll be stacking with the rest of the ranged, or sometimes stacking with melee anyways, and so it really reduces the effectiveness. However, if you're working on trying to maximize your damage output, even if you don't have a lot of Mastery, you still are going to want to maintain the damage dealt and critical strike damage dealt buff for as long of a duration and as often through the fight as possible. So, basically, what does it take to make this happen? Well, you need to stand still, which is often easier said than done, especially in a lot of fights, but if you can make yourself stand still for long enough, which is for 3 seconds, you get 6 seconds, and you can move around for 3 of those before you'll need to stand still for long enough for it to not come off cooldown again. Cooldown's not the right word for that circumstance, but you know what I mean. So that's pretty much how that all works. Alright, so let's go ahead and go over then how you use your abilities. What separates the people who play a hunter class and mash buttons versus the ones who can rank high and do effective damage? Well, it's about utilizing your Mastery for sure. It's about making sure that you are moving intelligently, but it's also about prioritizing your abilities correctly. Hunters don't have a whole lot in regards to different abilities you press and that you're going to use at certain times, but they have a priority system that they need to pay close attention to in order to make sure that you're truly maximizing your damage output. Let's take Chimera Shot for example. So Chimera Shot, if we look, has a 9-second cooldown, but this is by far your strongest attack that you have. There is nothing that you do that hits harder. Aim Shot has nothing on your Chimera Shot. So if you end up in a circumstance where your Chimera Shot has come off cooldown, but you have dumped too much focus into your aimed shots to be able to use your Chimera Shot, you have lost DPS. So it's really important to watch the cooldown and to preemptively build up enough focus so that way you can use Chimera Shot the moment it's off cooldown. You do not want to waste any seconds of it off cooldown. It always needs to be going off. From there, with Thrill the Hunt procs and with other filler focus, you're going to be balancing your steady shots as well as your aim shots. But again, always making sure that you stop wasting your focus on your aim shots if your Chimera Shot is about to come off of cooldown. So this is important for a couple of things. Now, granted, all of your abilities are affected by this careful aim, right? The 50% increase in crit when the target's above 80%. But also, if you have your 2-set, you also, with your Chimera Shots, you have a chance to get Rapid Fire for 4 seconds. Well, what does Rapid Fire do? How does that help us? Well, Rapid Fire, though both the ability and the buff you get from your 2-set for tier 18, they don't just give you the haste buff that we see. So if we mouse over here, we'll see increases haste 40% for 15 seconds. But something it doesn't tell you that it also does is it puts you in careful aim mode for the duration of that buff. Meaning that during that time, you get a 100% critical strike chance, or I should say, sorry, you get the 50% increase on your aim shot, your steady shot, and your Chimera Shot. So, that buff you can get from your Chimera Shot, if you have some focus, if you have whatever else, being able to capitalize on your Thrill the Hunts, get a few aim shots off, can be really, really helpful. It's hard to control because 4 seconds is not a lot of time, and that's all you get with the 2-set, but it can make a difference. The 2-set for a hunter is not terribly strong. It's barely over 1.5% increase in damage, and it's not great because sometimes the items that you'll have to use to maintain your tier set the secondary stats are so bad it's not even worth it. Now the foreset, on the other hand, the instant aim shots, is incredible. During a lust phase, when you use your rapid fire and you get Thrill of the Hunt, you can just spam aim shot and chimera shot on cooldown and never worry about focus, and that gives you some enormous damage phases. So this is truly a hunter's kill phase. So oftentimes when you're talking about a boss, you talk about a kill phase, which is usually the bottom 20%, and this is when everybody's execute style effects are active. Hunters have one for sure. Marksman hunters have one, kill shot, but that's actually not your kill phase. Your kill phase is that first 20%, and being able to maximize the damage you can maintain during that first 20% is how you really get the high numbers over the course of the fight. This brings us to another thing. It's not just about stacking your cooldowns. It's not just about stacking Stampede, Trinkets, Rapid Fire, if your Legendary Ring if you have it, everything you can, and then doing all those abilities during a Lust phase on Iron Reaver for max damage. That's great. But one huge thing is the importance of pre-potting for a hunter. So some classes, especially healer classes, it's sort of lackluster, right? Great, I have a little bit more of whatever. But with a hunter, because of that kill phase for the first 20%, the amount of damage you can gain from a pre-pot is absurd. We're talking several thousand DPS over the duration of the fight by using 2 pots during the duration of that fight. So load yourself up and make sure that you're using them beforehand, and then you can use the next one. There are some fights, such as Manaroth, when you're going to wait till the last bit of the fight to pop Lust, and you use your second potion there. But pre-potting is huge, because regardless of if you have Bloodlust or not, you can rapid fire every 2 minutes. You can time that with your Legendary Ring if you have it, and with those combined with the potion, and being in the kill phase for whatever it is you're attacking, the damage output you gain over the duration of the fight makes kill shot look like nothing. Okay, well then where does kill shot fall in the priority? Well, kill shot you get 2 charges of. It doesn't show it. I don't know why it never shows 2 charges, but you get 2 charges. If it fails to die, you get another one, and then it resets the cooldown instantly, and then you have the standard cooldown. Even with kill shot active, even with that being a thing, chimera shot's still more important to use on rotation. So again, just the importance of chimera shot. Your chimera shot, it would take like 5 kill shots to equal that of a standard chimera shot. So, and that's really what it comes down to, honestly. It really comes down to that priority and understanding truly how much you need to keep your uptime on chimera shot up. Cooldowns, such as Rapid Fire, Rings, Stampede, your Trinkets, they should all be used as often as you can, and of course, when possible, timed with Bloodlust. Don't wait for some random situation. There are times, such as Archimon, when you might want to spread the cooldowns out to make sure that you can get, say, Doomfires down faster and have something available for each one. But that's not the biggest deal. But capitalizing on that careful aim phase will always be the biggest deal. And making sure that you have Rapid Fire available during a Lust phase, again, will be the biggest deal, because that will trigger your careful aim, even if the target's, at 30% health. Alright, so, great. You kind of know what to do. You kind of know where to go, what your rotations are, what your priorities are, that sort of thing. What else can you do to make this a little easier? Well, hunters unfortunately and fortunately don't have a whole lot that they need to track when it comes to buffs that need to stay up or things like that. A lot of classes have a lot of really complex, things they have to sort of manage. For ours, it's just sniper training. So I'm going to show you real quickly a WeakAuras that I have set up that sort of helps me be aware of what's going on with my sniper training buff, and just makes it a little bit easier for me to make sure that it's always on. So if I enter combat real quick, we can see off the left-hand side, I have 2 icons going up. We have one that's showing if sniper training is active, and if I move, how long I have till it falls off, and then how long I have before it'll reactivate again. And that's what the one on the left-hand side is, the yellow one. That is the recently moved buff that you can see up here. So, by using those 2, you can sort of see, okay, I've started moving. Alright, so right there, great. I know that my mastery buff is going to come back on before it expires. That sort of thing. Maintaining 100% uptime with it is nearly impossible, because of intrinsically how fights work. There are times, such as, say, Death Rows on Kilrog, where there is literally no period of time when you can stop moving for enough time for it to come off without eating one of them. And the damage boost is not enough to really make that important. The key thing is to be aware of these things and to do your very best. One huge tool for this is Warcraft logs. So this is something that I use all the time and is something that can be really beneficial. So Warcraft Logs has the ability through the duration of a fight to track your uptime on your buffs. So if you use Warcraft Logs, which I will post links in the description, as well as links to the WeakAuras, a paste bin for the WeakAuras that I use to track my my sniper training, but you can use it to sort of see how you're doing and then try to beat that the next time. So if we look right here, we can see an example of one of the logs that I have. And if we go ahead and we click on the Analyze tab, and then we click on the Buffs sub-tab, and then below that on the All Sources, we can go ahead and select your own name. Alright, and then from there, if you go a little below that, you can see all the self-cast buffs. And the one we're really looking for, of course, here is the Mastery Sniper Training. And as you can see, it's obviously not 100%, not really even close to 100%. But the higher percentage you can get, you're just getting that much more of a damage boost, and that will help you optimize that. Again, never do it at the, while eating mechanics and things that you shouldn't obviously be doing. It's not worth it to try and get 7% extra damage for a few seconds and then get hit by something that's going to take away half your health. So always keep that in mind. Hopefully this has helped, like I said, and good luck. Definitely would recommend start using the logs. There's a link to Warcraft Logs in the description as well, so you can download the uploader tool. If you want to activate them, if you look in your system settings and then we go under the network, you can enable advanced combat logging, and that enables a lot more of the features on Warcraft Logs. You can even watch replays of the fights and sort of see where you moved and your positioning and that sort of thing. You don't really need that for a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here, though, but several of the better aspects of Warcraft Logs do require advanced combat logging. To turn it on, once you've done that, you just press enter, go to your chat and type in /combat-log, and it will give you a message saying it started the process. So if you need help with setting that up, there are plenty of videos out there that go over the process of getting logging going, as well as guides from Warcraft Logs themselves. Awesome, thank you.